You know, but for holding for the girls, no problem. All day.
Well, welcome to Stemless Face Off podcast, holding for the girls.
Yeah, we can do that all day.
We're here with Phil Daru, as you guys know him very well. Skyler also has been here on our podcast now a couple of times. Well, you both have been here a couple of times. So we have some interesting news. I'm going to let Phil start and tell us a little bit, for those who don't know him, about himself briefly. And then Skyler is going to tell us about himself and a fighter, up-and-coming fighter that has a fight coming up. Mike is all yours.
Oh, okay. Phil Daru, performance coach. I've been doing this for 15 plus years. Worked with over 200 professional athletes, 7 world champions, 5 Trainer of the Year awards, and still going strong. So excited though. I'm excited to work with these young up and comers now because they're hungry. They want to achieve success. They want to win, and they're willing to learn, which is the biggest thing when you're a coach. Like we were just talking about this, and you kind of figure out what type of athlete you have by their willingness to want to get better, right? And I always asked every athlete that I've come across, like, what does winning mean to them? And if winning is the only thing, then we have something to work with, right? If they feel like, winning is a chore or it's like, it's something that is an afterthought, well, that's a problem, right? Because they have to want to continue to evolve and continue to get better in order for them to actually win. And winning in everything, not just in the fight, but in life, right? Understanding where they are and where they need to be and where they need to take themselves and what are the steps to appropriately get them there. So you have to have like some self-awareness, some introspection to know, okay, what are my limiters? What are my strengths? What do I need to work on? And then what is the best thing for me to improve going forward? And we always say, the term white belt mentality and understanding where you are and then going, all right, the same with me. I always need to learn. I like to learn from people, from all types of people, right? Not just coaches and not just scientists, but anyone that has done something of magnitude, right? And you go, well, he obviously or she obviously knows something that I don't know. Maybe I need to talk to them about something. So being that polymath and wanting to learn everything allows you to really focus in on something that's going to make you solely successful, and keep doing that. So this kid, like I said, we're excited because he's just so young, but he's talented. We have natural talent like that. The sky's the limit, and he has the mindset to want to be a champion, and he has the support from the parents, which is sometimes that can be a hit or miss, right? They are pushing him, but they also support him, right? As a coach, you want that, especially when you're teaching and coaching young athletes. They have to have the support of the peers and the parents. And once they have that, then the sky's the limit. So Skyler's done a great job. He's been training him since he was a kid. I just actually met him. Yeah, since he was 10 years old?
He was one of my first kids that I started training when I got back down here in 2015. So he's been with me for 10 years.
Wow.
Since there's
cool.
there's a picture of when he was like 9-10 years old of me holding pads with him. Yeah. His mom sent it to me. But he's been with me for 10 years. So, and he's I was saying earlier, probably in those 10 years, up until like 2 years ago, we've had like 5-6 conversations. He just doesn't talk.
No, really.
He comes in, hey, I need you to do this. He just does it.
State his full name so they know.
Kaeser Espinoza.
Kaeser Espinoza.
Yeah.
Can you put his Instagram on there?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll get him some follows.
And he's fighting for the WBC national title.
Okay.
So it's one of the most prestigious titles in Muay Thai on the amateur level and the professional level. And he's fighting for the national title here in the U.S. in L.A. next weekend.
What does WBC stand for?
So that is the World Boxing Commission.
Yes, World Boxing Commission.
Yeah, World Boxing Commission.
They have a Muay Thai side too.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So they have a Muay. Yeah, initially it was the Boxing Commission, and then they branched off to Muay Thai side, and then
just for clear, like WBC is what Floyd Mayweather won.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
this is the amateur of the Muay Thai side.
And this kid's only 19.
19, 20?
Yeah, 19. I think 19.
He's a baby.
Yeah.
He's young.
He is. He's still young, and like Phil said, super talented. really everything you could ask for as a coach.
Do you have to
for a
like
fighter.
qualify for this event? Like,
Yes.
what does that look like?
Okay, so great question. So he first fought up in Tampa, and once he won his fight there, he was in line to fight for the regional title. Well, fast forward a couple months later, he goes down to Mexico to fight in the Pan Am Games at his weight division, 140, his weight class, or 147, because they have to do same day weigh-ins. So this is America and South America. All the best fighters in North America, South America. He beat 3 guys in a span of 2 days. First guy he knocked out, KO'd with a knee to the head. Second guy was a pro fighter that he beat. And then the third guy is the guy he's fighting again here next week. He beat him as well. So he's already the Pan Am, WBC Pan Am or North and South American champion.
Wow.
So I mean, yeah. So the you know that he leapfrogged in front of people to fight for this WBC national title because of those accolades. So yeah, to answer your question, you can't just like, oh, this guy can go fight. Like,
Right.
They have to work their way up. That's why the WBC is such a great organization. It's not like others where it can be political and then this guy fights this guy. It's like, no, if you want to fight for the title, you have to have the resume for it.
Right.
You have to have, even where you have to at least be on a winning streak. You can't, I think a 3-fight winning streak, you have to have a record that's above 500. It can't be a losing record. And you have to fight in certain, champions, regional champions to get to where you're at.
They're not just gonna throw you in and be like, okay, have
No,
at it, guys.
no.
You just sign up.
And a lot of organizations do that.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. Like, they got the belts, but it's like, what was the quality of the guy that they fought to get the
And
belt?
that's why I asked, because my very limited experience as like an amateur boxer, like that's kind of how it was for me. Is you just like, whatever, like nobody really gives a shit. Oh, this person, you
Yeah.
can make weight. Okay, let's throw you with this person, and it was just like hoping for the best.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like a lot of organizations are like that, but the WBC is like very strict, very very strict. So like when you win that title, it means
It
something.
means something. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing also is like with him, there's so much growth that still can happen. Right. So he's already 15-1.
Yeah.
And the one time he lost, tell him about the one loss.
So the one loss he had, he fought in Thailand. So there's 2 huge stadiums in Thailand, Lumpini and Rajdamnern. And I had a few guys fight at the Rajdamnern Stadium. And Kaeser fought there in 2000, I think 23.
He was like 16.
So he was I don't even think he was 18 yet. And he fought there, and typically we fight at 137, but that's weighing in the day before, right? And giving a full 24 hours. Well, he thought that's how it worked in Thailand, and it doesn't. It's same day weigh-ins. So the weight, he gave them that 137 pound weight limit, and they scheduled the fight, and then he finds out he's got to weigh in same day. So now he's having to cut more weight than he should. He's dehydrated because he doesn't have enough time to rehydrate. So he wasn't, not to make excuses. I hate that when people are like, oh, but that did limit him a little bit in that fight. Of course, he fought a high-level professional Japanese Muay Thai fighter, and that was an adult. He was fighting an adult as a teenager, and he lost the decision. And that was his only loss. So
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Amazing. No,
Yeah.
He's still a baby.
Mhm.
Like you say, he
Yeah.
still has so much room to grow.
Yeah.
With the good thing about, I've been doing this for a long time, and I work with world champions, and the biggest problem that performance coaches have, you guys are trainers, so you understand, like what we do inside the weight room, what we do, whether it be in the track or the field, it has to correlate over to the fight game. It has to correlate over to the ring. And a lot of skills coaches don't understand what we do as performance coaches. The good thing that me and Skyler, like we've known each other for a long time. Skyler respects me, I respect him as a coach. And so when you have that cohesiveness, then the person that you're working to help build up, it just is a better opportunity for them. Because now you're not clashing with the
Right.
skills coach, and they're not clashing with the performance coach. Everybody's on the same page.
So for people that don't really know what the difference is, what's the difference between a skills and a performance coach?
Well, a skills coach is going to teach them all the technical and tactical aspects of the game, right? Teach them how to kick, punch, throw, elbow for him,
Yeah.
knees. For me, I'm trying to get him physically prepared for that activity, right?
So are you more focused on like conditioning, agility, making sure that they're able to maintain their endurance?
Exactly.
Strength.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. Strength, power, speed, agility, conditioning, and with combat sports, it's diverse, right? So you have multiple energy systems that you have to work on, given the time domain of the fight,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if it's a 2 minute round or a 5 minute round for, MMA, and then you also have to look at, the planes of motion, the power production, the force production that they have to put together, and also have to link things together in order for them to have the most effect when it comes down to striking. In this case, it would be striking.
Right.
But if it's a grappling sport, then you have to be able to transition from grappling to striking and back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a large amount of detail that goes into programming and periodizing the training process. You
And
have
what
to
made
know.
you get into this?
I was a fighter myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I fought for 8 years. I fought MMA. Was with Dean Thomas for a long time. So I met Skyler too as well. And I've gotten my degrees. I played college football, and I wanted to transition from playing football. And then when I was competing, I did martial arts all growing up. So I'm like, you know what? After football was done, I was like, I need to fill a void of competition because I'm a natural competitor.
Right.
And so the best thing for me was to transition into fighting in a cage. And I think the biggest opportunity that I had was that I was able to transition my abilities as a fighter and understand everything that goes into physically preparing for the fight. So when I got the full-time job at American Top Team, I was training world champions, but they knew me as a fighter. So the buy-in was there because they go, well, he's been in my shoes before, per se. And so I think that's a big thing when it comes down to any coach.
Mm-hmm.
And the coaches, you could be a great coach and not a great athlete, unfortunately, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is good to know the sport. And I'm not saying that you have to train or you have to fight professionally or anything like that to be a coach. But you should still understand the process. You should still go through the process. You should still weight cut and know how that feels. Right? So all the weight cut specialists that I work with, I make sure that they have done a weight cut themselves because they have to feel it. Right? There's times where it sucks, right? And you have to block out a lot of these distractions and go. And you guys do it too, competing. You know how it goes. And I did bodybuilding too.
Yeah, we did bodybuilding together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did do a show together. That's right. So I'm
Small world.
always into like putting myself into it.
Yeah.
Putting yourself into the shit so that you know how it feels, so that now you can be a better coach and guide for that individual.
I mean, she thinks I'm crazy as fuck, but even with aesthetics, very different obviously than going through weight cutting, but I stop myself with everything that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that's in that room, I've done to myself.
Yeah.
So that way I can tell people this
For
is
sure.
what to expect. This is what to feel.
Yeah. And the best education is actually doing it yourself and getting the experience.
Yeah.
And then I like to every protocol, every method of training that we do, I've done. So it's like I do it on myself, then I'll do it multiple times, and then we'll experiment with the athlete, right? And then I'll obviously down the line, science catches up to the practitioners, and they're like, "Oh, this actually works." Yeah, I know. I've done it before.
For you guys, how does it feel? Like, obviously you've worked with crazy talented athletes, but to have a kid like this and to be able to see his growth since he was a baby, literally for you, and then knowing like what he's capable of in the future, like how does that make you guys feel as coaches, like to be a part of that?
I mean, it's exciting. Like I've been with Kaeser for so long, and he early on was himself and his parents came to me and said, "Hey, our goal is to do this as a career," which is hard because Muay Thai right now doesn't pay a lot of money, or it didn't back 4 or 5 years ago. Now it's getting better. So there's actual avenues where people can actually make money. Not as close as UFC right now, but it is trending in that direction. But yeah, so when it's so easy as a coach to just tell the athlete to do something and they do it. You think that's duh, right? But so many people fight that. So many people are like, you tell them to do something, and it's not so much they argue against what it is, or because I don't mind explaining why.
Yeah.
I'm completely fine with that. But when people kind of want to try to do their own thing with your thing, and then it creates this friction where it's like it's so with Kaeser, I just say it and he does it, and that actually makes me I'm more aware of what I'm doing too. Like I was telling Phil this today before we came over here. Like I'm not just telling him to do things because I feel like because they're cool, right? I'm making sure that what he's doing is going to be he's going to be able to apply it effectively in the fight, and it's going to benefit him. And if it's not, I got to remove it. So I'm very critical about what I'm doing with him, so that he's because I have a responsibility too as a coach.
Right.
Like we can do a whole training camp where I'm having him do something that's not going to benefit him in the fight, and then it affects the outcome of the fight. So it's very hard. But then when you're having them do the right things, and then the fighter is kind of going against that, it can be tough.
Right.
Yeah. We were just talking about this, but it's funny because with fighters, most of them, I would say maybe a large majority, have never really played organized sports. They just get into fighting. And so you see these guys that have never played on a team, they don't know how to actually take advice or guidance from an individual that's been there.
Right.
So they're like, well, why are you telling me this? I'm just going to do my own thing because that's why I got into the sport, because it's an individual sport, right? But as athletes, and especially in a team sport, you go, well, I'm going to listen to the coach, and because I want to be better the next day and the next day, and so it's very hard for those individuals that haven't played a team sport to really take hold of that concept.
That's actually a good point. I didn't think about that.
I always talk about, Dustin Poirier has been one of my main guys for a long time, and he's about to fight his last fight, and it was very hard in the beginning to get him to do things because he's so used to doing it on his own, right? Now he's had coaches and great coaches, and he still does, but he still has a mindset of like, I know what's best, and sometimes he does. Trust me, he's a world champion, like he's one of the best fighters ever, but in some capacity he goes, well, I don't know this thing, and so he's been on record telling people he's let his guard down because he knows that there is some things that he doesn't know and he needs to improve. You can always get better, you can always learn, but there's years of experience there that you have to utilize in order for you to get better, Like with Skyler, I know that he's proficient and he's an expert in Muay Thai. So when I go to Muay Thai, and like obviously I fought before and I've done martial arts my entire life, but I listen to him. When he's telling me certain things, I'm gonna go, okay, cool. And I conceptualize it and I make sure that it fits what my makeup, my physical makeup is capable of doing, right? And then I take what he tells me and then I organize it for my own training when it comes down to power production and turning over my kicks and things like that. Now, I'm seasoned, so it's like, I kind of understand that when you get young kids, they're like clay. You can just mold them into what you want. And that's the best thing for me when I can get a young individual that hasn't been tainted with, right? And like, there's no bad habits, right? He's been working with this kid for a long time. And so when you can have that, it's just like, okay, now we can just keep him progressing because there is going to be no developed bad habits because you've been working with him so long.
Yeah, you know him very well. Well, he's to your training too.
He, like I said, he was one of my first students that I coached when I moved back down here in 2015. So I'd opened up my gym in 2014 up north, and then a year later moved it down here because I just hated being up there weather-wise. But he was the first athlete that I coached down here, and he's been with me ever since. He was out of all my champions, he's the one of the first ones that I've had been training. Not my first champion, but I've been training him longer than anybody else.
Since day one, so you basically molded him into who he is.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct.
Cool. Yeah.
That's very rare, is it? Is that very common or very rare for a student to stick with a coach that long and be so successful?
Yeah. Most fighters will bounce around a little bit, and it's tough because there are some coaches that probably shouldn't be coaching that are saying not the right things, but then there are coaches that are really good, but the fighter just might not take accountability for themselves and put the blame on other things like their coach, and then they move on to a different coach and a different coach, and then it's hard for them to have success. So it's hard to kind of pinpoint that, but yes, it's really rare to have a fighter stay with a coach for a long period of time.
Explain a little bit about Muay Thai in the background and what it all is. Yeah,
so Muay Thai, just like from Thailand, right? Like So Muay Thai is it's very similar to boxing, the environment. So think of about like American boxing gym, right? Guys come in there, they all train. There's not so much like structured classes. It's like a lot of individual training, pad work, and then they'll do some group sparring. So that's how it is in Thailand. These kids start very young. And they do it as an occupation. That's the biggest misconception we get. We train for like, you know, we want to fight. Like we want to do these things. A lot of kids in Thailand, they have to do it because they need to pay. They need to get money.
Oh.
They need to help their family. Most of them are in poverty, and their choices are either work on a farm or fight. And so the kids that go to fight, they're doing it as an occupation. So they're looking at it in a different viewpoint than somebody that's going in there just I love Muay Thai, I want to train and learn. They're like, this is a job.
So in Thailand, Muay Thai is the preferred martial art, right?
Yeah.
It's the preferred combat sport. So for us, in the States, it would primarily be boxing, right? That's what most of us grew up with, right? Now it's mixed martial arts. But with those individuals in Thailand, like that's all they do. And they'll be, I mean, it's a day-to-day process from the morning, you know, from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep. It's all about Muay Thai. So we've kind of transitioned that now into the States where we're taking that Muay Thai approach and the way they train and keeping it, and he does a great job by keeping it authentic. If you go to the gym, you know, right? It's super
Skyler,
authentic.
you were in Thailand for a while, right?
Yeah, so I've been going back and forth to Thailand since like 2016. And like Phil was saying, I like over the time I've realized like the traditional way of training Muay Thai can lead to overtraining because there's so much volume. The kids wake up in the morning and they're running, you know, 5 to 10, you know, Ks every day. And then they're coming in and they're doing their skip knees and their push kicks, and then they go off to school. They get off of school, they come into the gym, and they get right back into training. You know, jumping rope for like 45 minutes, then hitting pads for, you know, 5 to 10 rounds depending on what gym it is, and then clinching and sparring. So it's like you're talking, you know, 3 hours. So they're training, you know, maybe 6 hours a day, but it's like high volume.